Hello. What's up, everybody? It's Yoshinator195 coming at you with another old school Black Ops 6 gaming commentary. And in today's episode, how important is high school? You may be about to graduate in a year's time and you're freaking out and you're just wondering, oh my God, I have no clue what I'm going to do afterwards, but also how am I actually going to survive this year? Or maybe most recently you've just finished high school and you completely bombed your final entrance exams. And for those in Australia, this may directly affect your ATAR result. And I kind of want to give some, hopeful optimism in the sense that high school is important and fun, but ultimately it's not the end of the world. And I'll give you a story that relates to me from my sister, who kind of, went through her own struggle with that final year of high school and had to kind of always compare herself to her older brother, who did very well in his last year. So for my context, I achieved an ATAR in the high 90s, which is, for those who aren't in Australia, kind of the top kind of like, I'd say top 3 to 5%, somewhere along those lines. So my sister kind of always had this, unfortunately, kind of high standard to match up to. And when she got her final exams back and her ATAR result, she completely bombed it. Just was not like damn near failing it, but just barely passed it. And was calling me up just after Christmas crying, like, how is she going to tell mom and dad? What am I going to do? I don't know how am I going to get to uni next year? Everything. And just like I could feel like the emotion of like her world had just crumbled before her. But what I told her, and kind of what I still stand by, is that high school isn't the end of the world, and what you got given as your final ATAR score is just a number. There are multiple alternative pathways towards college and university, doing things like a bridging course, doing something kind of lower in the interim that then you can use that to pivot off towards something at university, whether that be with some sort of further education at like a picture kind of like a secondary or tertiary institution like TAFE, or tertiary institution that's just below college. Kind of like, I don't know if community school is the best equivalent for those not in Australia, but some sort of bridging outline or a course degree that gets you a diploma or a certificate that then gets you kind of that second chance at university. And I was kind of telling her this, that, it's not the end of the world. You may not have got into university right now, but you can still get into university later on if that's something that you want to do. And don't feel like a failure just because you couldn't do these tests and exams. It's, they're also not necessarily the best kind of indicator of someone's intelligence and their capabilities and skills, which is perhaps a whole other video. But what I really wanted to remind you, if you're feeling like that and you just got a terrible score, that it's not the end of the world, and consider your options in the sense that, okay, this has happened. What are my next steps? And for my sister, she knew she wanted to do this a whole other degree. And she was like, okay, I kind of feel like I want to get into that. But, at high school, there's only one unit that was directly related to that. She didn't need maths as much. She didn't need English as much. She didn't need physics or chemistry, all these, irrelevant subjects. So I was like, that's the benefit of when you finish high school, is that now you can actually kind of specialize a little bit or do more of the units that you actually find interesting. And then you can actually get the marks that you feel like you deserve and that you could actually want to do. So that's the biggest takeaway. If you're thinking about, man, I'm just so scared about, what my parents are going to say, you tell them that, like, look, it didn't happen for me right now, but I'm not going to let this result be the final marker in the chapter of my life. I'm not going to let this dictate the rest of my, career, because you're also so young. Like, you're not even in your 20s likely that for this to kind of be the final, like, you know, hurdle that just ends you and just kind of is like something that's a barrier, an obstacle that you can't accomplish, you can't pass. Like, it's ridiculous, but you think it's the end of the world. So it's hard to not catastrophize. God, I can't remember that word. And you just kind of blow it up way too much and you make it up such a big deal, but then you let some time pass and then you realize it's okay, you know, life will be fine. So I hope that kind of mentality helps you. And if there are any kind of instances or stories that you felt where you've overcome something like this, I want to know down in the comments below. Let me know. Is there something that you've had a difficult conversation with your parents about, you know, man, I just completely bombed the exams, but don't worry, I'm going to make it better. And often what I find is that you kind of really begin to work even harder than you were before because you feel even more determined. It's almost like a bit of a wake-up call. So I hope that's some optimistic and hopeful advice if you have come to the end of your high school career, or even thinking about starting, you know, this year and being worried about what's going to happen at the end, because the world will still spin. Do not stress. You've got this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.